Hello everybody, Jennifer Maker here. It is a beautiful day to do the impossible, or rather what used to be impossible. Today I'll show you an easy way to sublimate not just on 100% cotton fabric, but onto colors other than white, yes, even black. That's right, we're breaking all the rules today, and I can't wait to show you how to do this step by step. Sublimation has quickly become of my all-time favorite crafts. There are so many amazing things you can make, and I think it's so cool how the ink becomes infused right into the actual item. However, like any craft, it has its limitations. Typically, you can only sublimate on white materials and surfaces that are either polyester or coated in another polymer like that. So experimenting with sublimating fabrics like cotton or anything other than white usually leads to some disappointing results. That is until now. I found my favorite sublimation hack ever, and I can't wait to show you how to sublimate on white fabric like white cotton and black fabric and any other color of the rainbow. And guess what? I'll show you how to do it on 100% cotton shirts too. No polyester here. Crazy, right? This opens up a whole new world of possibilities. The way we'll do this is with clear sublimation heat transfer vinyl, which is different from regular clear HTV. We'll also be using white iron-on vinyl for one of our shirts. Stick around to find out why. We'll prepare our designs in Cricut Design Space, which I don't typically use for sublimation prints, but I'm going to show you how to use a super helpful tool for layering your vinyl and sublimation designs to make them a little easier, which will help us to get the nicest transfer possible. And to make sure we've got our sublimation design perfectly positioned on our shirts, I'll show you how to use my handy t-shirt ruler guides. You can find them over on my blog at jennifermaker.com/t-shirt ruler guide. They're super easy to make with your Cricut. You can even just cut them out by hand if you need to. And having a set comes in really handy for t-shirt projects just like this one. And of course, you'll also need some standard sublimation tools and supplies for this project, as well as some new stuff you may not have used before. I've got all the details in my tutorial over at jennifermaker.com/502. Stay tuned to see them all in action. I'll show you the techniques for shirts of all colors, and then we'll compare the results. So let me show you how to get my free beach designs. Aren't they cute? So you can practice with them, and then we'll get started. Step 1, get a sublimation design. Go to jennifermaker.com/502 and look for libraries in the red bar at the top. Then click either get a password if you don't yet have one, or click enter the library. Search the page for design number 502. When you find it, click it to download and then unzip the zip file. If you're not sure how to do that, visit jennifermaker.com/svgs. I made these 3 beautiful seaside-inspired designs using AI art software. There's a Palm Beach, Beach Vibes, and Sunflower Beach, which is the design that I'll demonstrate today. Since we're using the Print Then Cut feature, I highly recommend you calibrate your Cricut before beginning this project. To learn how to do it, go to jennifermaker.com/calibration. It'll show you everything step by step. Step 2, prepare your design. On a new canvas in Cricut Design Space, click Upload and find the PNG you want to use. I don't always print sublimation projects from Cricut Design Space, but it has some really helpful tools for this project that I'll show you soon. So select Complex for the image type, and then click Continue, and then click Apply and Continue. Then select Print and Cut and click Upload. Select the design and click Add to Canvas. Now PNG files have a lot of detail, so my Sunflower Beach design is huge on the canvas. Let's zoom out to see the entire design by clicking on the minus sign. If you click the red exclamation mark in the Layers panel, it'll say that the image is too large for your paper. At this size, the design won't even fit on your Cricut's machine mat. Look where it says Image is too large for, and look at the dimension. If it doesn't match the sublimation paper you're going to use, click Change Paper Size to adjust it. I'll change mine to 8.5 by 11 inches and click Done. Now click back on the red exclamation mark again and select Auto Resize Image to make the design as large as possible, but small enough that it'll fit on your sublimation paper. And there we go. Now my image will fit on the paper, and it's a great size for my shirt too. If you'd like to go bigger and make a larger image than this, use my Tiling Sublimation Projects tutorial to learn how. It's at jennifermaker.com/442. In addition to printing and cutting this design on sublimation transfer paper, we'll need to cut some clear sublimation HTV or heat transfer vinyl too. But how do we make it the same size and shape as the image? It's super easy. To do it, just right-click on the image and select Duplicate. Now, with only one of those images selected, change the operation at the top to Basic Cut. The shape will automatically change to gray, which means it can be cut on a different mat than your image. Now we're ready to print our image and cut out our clear HTV. Step 3, print and cut your design. Make sure the correct machine is selected and then click Make It. On the Prepare screen, double-check that your beach design fits within the maximum dimensions for print then cut, and that the material size fits your sublimation paper. And don't forget to toggle Mirror to the On position. Sublimation designs should always be mirrored, otherwise it will sublimate in reverse. Then click on the gray mat and change the mat size if needed to match your vinyl. Mine's 12 by 12 inches, so I'll leave it as is. And toggle Mirror On for this mat too. It isn't absolutely necessary for this particular project because the shape is symmetrical, but if your shape is irregular or asymmetrical, you'll definitely want it mirrored. So it's best to just get into the habit of always mirroring vinyl sublimation projects. And click back on the first mat again and then click Continue. On the Make screen, click the green Send to Printer button. Select your sublimation printer, then turn on Add Bleed and Use System Dialog, and then click Print. You may need to minimize your Cricut window to see your printer's controls. You can use my print settings as a guideline, but adjust as needed to fit your tools and materials. Make sure your sublimation printer is selected under Printer and select the best paper and print settings available. I'll set my paper to Premium Matte and the quality to Best. Since we've already mirrored the design, make sure not to flip the image too. Mirroring and flipping will reverse your image twice, basically canceling each other out. Load the paper according to the instructions on the packaging and then click Print. Leave the print to dry for a little bit to avoid any smearing. And then you see the black corner marks around the design. These are called registration marks, and your Cricut uses them to know exactly where to cut the image. So back in Cricut Design Space, set the Print Then Cut mat to Photo Paper, and then set the pressure to More for a cleaner cut. Place your printed sheet on a blue light grip mat, and lay a clean piece of printer paper over the top to protect the design, and use a brayer to adhere the sublimation paper really well to the mat. Remove the printer paper and set it aside. With your fine point blade clean and in clamp B, load the mat into your Cricut and press the flashing button to cut. When it's done, unload the mat, flip it over, and roll it back to release the paper. This helps prevent the material from curling and ripping. Back on the Make screen, I'll set the second mat's material setting to vinyl, which is what HTV Rot suggests on their packaging, and then set the pressure to More. Place your clear HTV shiny side down onto a green standard grip machine mat and use a brayer to adhere it really well. With your clean fine point blade in clamp B, load the mat into your Cricut and press the flashing button to cut. When it's finished, unload the mat, flip it over, and roll it back to release the vinyl. Next, trim away the excess clear HTV, then weed the vinyl around the outside edges of the solid shape. Here's how my cut pieces for my design look, and we are ready to start sublimating. Step 4, sublimate your design. Before I get started, I've made sure to have proper ventilation in my workspace by opening a window and turning on a fan. This is important, so please be safe. I tested some of the recipes in my Sublimation cookbook and found that a few tweaks work best with these materials and project combinations. I'll use my Easy Press for this project, but you can use any other type of full-size heat press. The best temperature and time might be a little different, of course. I set my Easy Press to 385 degrees Fahrenheit or 196 degrees Celsius. Use a lint roller to remove any dust or debris from the front of the shirt so it doesn't interfere with sublimation. When the press is ready, fold the shirt in half the long way and place it on your pressing mat. Press the shirt for 10 seconds to preheat it and remove any moisture. This also creates a central crease so you know exactly where to position your design. Open the shirt and slide a piece of clean white cardstock inside to prevent any sublimation ink from bleeding through. If you're using my t-shirt ruler guide, line up the center line on the crease. You don't want it on the edge of the collar of the t-shirt, but rather on the seam. Then position your clear vinyl on the center of your shirt, right below the guide, sticky side down. Remove the guide, then adjust the cardstock inside the shirt if needed to make sure it's under the vinyl. Cover the vinyl with a piece of white butcher paper and press with heavy pressure for 30 seconds. When the time is up, return the Easy Press to its cradle. This clear Sublimation HTV is cold peel, so you can remove the butcher paper, but wait until the vinyl has completely cooled for about 5 to 10 minutes before you remove the film. Place your printed and cut design face down on top of the HTV, making sure it's properly aligned. Use heat-resistant tape on the sides of the paper to secure it to the t-shirt. Place a clean sheet of white butcher paper on top of the whole area. With your Easy Press still set to 385 degrees Fahrenheit or 196 degrees Celsius, press the design for 55 seconds using medium to firm pressure, just with your hands. When you're done, lift the Easy Press straight upward and return it to its cradle. Then remove the butcher paper and let everything cool for just a few seconds so it's safe to touch. Typically, sublimation paper should be removed after it's cooled to avoid ghosting, but the directions on the clear HTV packaging say to remove it while it's still hot. I did not experience any ghosting when I removed the hot sublimation transfer paper from the clear HTV. Look how gorgeous that turned out. Now let's talk about using white iron-on and clear HTV on a dark shirt. This hack uses sublimation paper and clear sublimation HTV like we used with the white shirt, but this time we'll add a white layer of iron-on vinyl. Since sublimation ink is translucent, the white vinyl will provide the opaque, light background that we need to see the sublimated design on the clear vinyl against our dark shirt. Upload your PNG to Design Space and add it to your canvas as a print then cut image. And like I said, I don't usually print sublimation projects from Cricut Design Space, but this has a really helpful tool that we need for this one. And like before, if the dimension listed doesn't match the sublimation paper that you're using, click Change Paper Size to adjust it. Then select Auto Resize Image to make the design as large as possible while still filling your paper. Now this time we want to create two offsets. One for the clear sublimation HTV and one for the white iron-on vinyl. Select the image and click the offset icon in the toolbar and set the slider to -0.05. Then select rounded corners and click apply. Use the layers panel to make sure you have the offset layer selected and change the operation to basic cut. This will be our clear HTV layer. Select the offset you just made and click the offset icon in the toolbar again. Set the slider to -0.05, select rounded corners, and click apply. I'll use the layers panel to make sure I have that second, smaller offset layer selected and use the color box to change the color to white. This will be our white iron-on vinyl layer. The two offsets should be just barely smaller than the design. This approach helps blend the design's edges, but if you want to have all of the design on white and more visible, you can set your offsets to 0. I just thought this looked better. Make sure the correct machine is selected and then click Make It. With this method, you'll have 3 mats instead of 2. Toggle the mirror switch on for all of them. Select the first mat again and then click Continue and then click Send to Printer. Select your Sublimation printer, turn on Add Bleed and Use System Dialog and then click Print. Again, you may need to minimize your Cricut window to see your printer's controls. Use my print settings as a guideline, but adjust if you need to. So make sure your Sublimation printer is selected under Printer and select the best paper and print settings available. I'll set my paper to Premium Matte. I'll set the quality to Best. And we'll leave Flip unchecked, on low. We don't want to flip anything because we already mirrored everything, right? Load the paper according to the instructions on the packaging and then press Print. When the print is dry, select Photo Paper and set the pressure to More. Place your printed sheet on a blue light grip machine mat and then lay a clean piece of printer paper over the top to protect it. Use your brayer to adhere it to the mat. Remove the printer paper and set it aside, then load the sublimation paper into your Cricut and press the flashing button to begin. For the white vinyl mat, change the base material to Everyday Iron-On. Choose more pressure on each mat for cleaner cuts. Place it on your green standard grip machine mat, shiny side down, and then adhere it well with a brayer before loading it into your Cricut to cut. And finally, select vinyl for the mat with the clear HTV, and then load and cut it too. As each mat finishes cutting, flip it over and roll it back to release the material. Trim away the excess clear HTV and the white iron-on, and then weed the designs by removing the excess vinyl. Here's what the 3 cut pieces for my design look like. And now we're ready to sublimate. Press your dark t-shirt with white iron-on vinyl and clear HTV. Improve your ventilation by opening a window or turning on a fan and set the temperature of your heat press to 340 degrees Fahrenheit or 171 degrees Celsius. And set your time to 10 seconds. This base recipe is in my Sublimation cookbook. Use a lint roller to remove any dust or debris from the t-shirt. Fold the shirt in half the long way and place it on your pressing mat and press it for 10 seconds to remove moisture and make a center crease. Open the shirt and slide a piece of clean white cardstock inside to prevent ink from bleeding through. Using the t-shirt guide and the center crease as guides, place the white iron-on vinyl sticky side down on your shirt. Remove the guide, cover the project with white butcher paper, and press at 340 degrees Fahrenheit or 171 degrees Celsius for 10 seconds. Use medium pressure, just enough to tack the vinyl to the shirt. When the time is up, place the easy press back in its cradle and remove the butcher paper. Wait 5 or 10 seconds, and then while the vinyl is still hot, carefully peel away the carrier sheet. Now increase the temperature of your heat press to 385 degrees Fahrenheit or 196 degrees Celsius and set the time to 25 seconds. Place your clear Sublimation HTV over the white vinyl and line it up the best you can. Place clean butcher paper on top of everything, then press with heavy pressure at 385 degrees Fahrenheit or 196 degrees Celsius for 25 seconds. When the time is up, lift the easy press and place it back in its cradle. Remove the butcher paper and then wait about 10 minutes for the vinyl to completely cool before removing the carrier sheet. Next, place your design face down on top of the HTV, making sure it's properly aligned. The paper will be a bit larger than the vinyl layers. Use heat-resistant tape to secure it to the shirt. Make sure the cardstock is fully under the design and then place clean butcher paper on top of the whole area. Using firm, medium to heavy pressure, press the design at 385 degrees Fahrenheit or 196 degrees Celsius for 55 seconds. Place the easy press back in its cradle and then remove the butcher paper. Let it cool off for just a few seconds before removing the tape and the paper while it's still warm. And you've just sublimated a black 100% cotton shirt. How cool is that? Step 5, show it off. Here are my finished t-shirts. I think it's so cool that Sublimation isn't just for white polyester if you use this hack. Now, yes, we're not actually putting the sublimation ink right into the fibers of the cotton fabric. No, it's still a layer of vinyl on top of the cotton shirt, but this is still pretty cool. Think of all of the different sublimation projects that you can make with cotton fabric and different colored shirts now. Who would have thought you could sublimate on white and black 100% cotton shirts? I just love how they turned out, don't you? They're so nice. And now you can give the gift of summer vibes with one of these, or don a beachy t-shirt of your own on your summer vacay or your staycation. I was really surprised how thin and flexible the clear vinyl feels on the white shirts. And I just love how they came out with these beautiful, vibrant colors. The vinyl almost feels like it's become one with the shirt. Not what I was expecting with 2 whole layers, but I'll take it. I did notice that the shirts I made with the 0 offset or no white border feel a little smoother to the touch and less stiff than the designs with the border. Having the design be slightly bigger than the vinyl really helped to smooth those edges down, I think. And now that I've done these tests, you'll know a bit more about what to expect when you make this project too. Now you may be wondering, why didn't we just sublimate the white HTV and not have 2 whole layers of vinyl? Wouldn't that have saved a step? Not to mention time and materials? I get it. So it's true that it would. However, white HTV doesn't retain sublimation ink because it doesn't contain polyester. White glitter vinyl does contain polyester though, which is why it holds ink so well. Here you can see our shirts using clear sublimation HTV versus this one where I used white glitter HTV. It turned out beautifully, but not everyone wants to sparkle, and that's okay. I love having so many different options when it comes to crafting. Then there's something for everyone. If you'd like to learn how to use glitter HTV for sublimation though, check out my tutorial over at jennifermaker.com/432. There is so much to learn about sublimation, so if this got you excited to learn more, come check out my Sublimation Startup mini course over at jennifermaker.com/sublimation startup. I'll walk you through all the basics, setting up a sublimation printer with the right ink, which tools are helpful for beginners, using free software to print designs, and getting the best results with each press. And I share tons of ideas for projects that you can sublimate. You can sign up right now and learn at your own pace without any pressure. It's over at jennifermaker.com/sublimation startup. I also have a Facebook group just for sublimation, which is a great way to see all of the fun that you can have with it. Whether you're new to sublimation or not, come join us at jennifermaker.com/sublimation group. We'd love to have you come ask questions, share ideas, and get inspired. And that's it for today. Until next time, this is Jennifer Maker reminding you to craft a life you love.